are live with the Investor Thrive Nation podcast, the Payneless Wholesaling Podcast, and we have the Jackie Jackson. Miss Jackie, how are you?
I am fantastic, Nathan. It's
Oh,
so good to be here.
I'm glad to have you on here. So everybody, if you're tuning in, you've never heard our podcast before, what I talk about is real estate investing, and I try to make it painless. My last name is Nathan Payne, so I try to make the journey for you painless so you can learn from other experts. That's why I have awesome people like Jackie on here so she can teach you about her experience. So we're going to dive into tax deeds. She's going to show you 6 different ways and what she's been doing to be successful as a real estate investor. So let's just dive right into it. So Jackie, tell me a little bit about your start and how you got everything going in real estate.
Absolutely. So I know everyone can see me in my uniform. So I'm in my alter ego right now is Captain Jackson. I'm a military professional. I am an officer in the United States Army Reserves, and I'm out on my
Wow.
Army training. But the
Thanks for
interesting
your service.
Thank you. The interesting thing about being a warrior, as they call it right here, is I actually joined the military because of real estate. And I'll tell you how that happened.
What?
Okay. I know. So my first deal that I did in 2006 went horribly wrong, right? I didn't know anything about anything. And I ended up with a $120,000 loss. I call it my most expensive PhD on what not to do, right? So
Oh my gosh.
my first deal was $120,000 in the deficit. It cost me a lot of money, but it also taught me a lot of things, Nathan, right? So here I am, single mom, working, trying to figure things out. And now I got this big looming debt. So I already started off with debt, and now I have even more debt than when I started off in the first place. And then one day I see a commercial from the military saying, be all you can be in the Army, right? And they
Wow.
were offering a bonus. And with that bonus, I used that bonus to hire a mentor and a real estate coach. And that's basically how it all started. So I joined the military only because I wanted to be able to afford my mentor so
Wow.
that I learned some creative real estate investing techniques to help me get out of debt. So that's the story.
Oh my gosh. Was the mentor worth it?
Absolutely. I
Oh
got
my
out of
gosh.
debt.
Wow. That's amazing. Who was it, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, absolutely. So I joined my local real estate investors association, and I'm a graduate alumni from the PACT organization. So my shout out to Augie Violet. That was my first official investment in myself. It was 1 year of coaching, and I learned creative real estate investing. So I learned wholesaling, I learned short sales, I learned,
Wow.
let's see what else, subject to. I learned option agreements, performing notes, non-performing notes. I learned a lot of things. And in that
A lot.
period of time, I literally tried them all. I didn't know anything about anything. So I was literally fearless, right? So you
Mhm.
told me to go talk to someone, I did it. You said, hey, go have this conversation with this seller, I did it. It really didn't matter. So throughout that entire period of time, being fearless taught me a lot of things because I learned the ins and outs of a lot of different creative strategies and how to structure deals. And then one day I came across tax liens and tax deeds. And I was like, wait a minute, this is something that I didn't know about. What do you mean I can buy properties for their delinquent real estate taxes? You lying.
Mhm.
Y'all
Mhm.
just lying out in these streets, right?
Exactly.
So I investigated a little bit more, and just for funsies, I said, okay, let me learn a lot more, just learn more in depth on how this process works. And I studied a little, studied a lot actually. I like to read. So reading
Oh,
is fun,
good.
kids. Make sure you read, all right?
No, reading is so important.
It's so important. So I purchased my first tax deed property. I would probably say it was maybe about 2014 or
Wow.
15-ish, because I was already investing and flipping and all of that stuff to get myself out of debt. And I was really successful at it. So I started, in a new strategy, and I was hooked. Okay. The first
Wow.
time you can go to an auction and buy a whole single family home, not for the appraised value, not for the assessed value, not for the market value, not for any of those values, but just for the delinquent taxes, trust me, you will never go back. Okay. And
Sounds nice.
I've made it my primary go-to strategy, and I teach others how to do so in my educational business at thejackyjackson.com, which is where I created Tax Deed Genius, which is an educational program to teach individuals how to find, how to analyze, how to do the research, how to buy, and also how to sell, right? How to dispose of your property in the event that you want to sell it, or maybe you want to keep it and cash flow it. It's up to you, but that's where all that education is.
Wow. Wow. So let's take some of what you do. Can you, for people that come and listen to this, I like them to be able to implement what they hear, right? So tell, if for someone that's just listening that's probably not ready to join a program at the moment, what information can you give them so they can take action?
Absolutely. So every single real estate property, regardless of the property type, regardless of the usage type, every single property, the tax collector or the tax assessor or a revenue collector, whatever you name it, in all 50 states of the United States, this is applicable. There's 3,141 counties and county equivalents across the United States, and they all collect real estate taxes. And why do they all collect real estate taxes? Because real estate taxes is what is used to support our communities. That's our libraries, that's our schools, that's our roads, that's our EMS, that's our police, that's all of our emergency services. So we all benefit from real estate taxes. So when a property owner is delinquent on the real estate taxes, it's a really, really big deal. That's why all 50 states has a collection procedure written in their laws, right? So if you are a new individual, the first thing you have to do is identify what states you want to invest in, right? So
Mhm.
identify the state that you want to invest in, and then determine if that state offers either tax liens opportunities or if they offer tax deeds opportunities. And I'll tell you the distinction between the two. If they offer tax lien opportunities, what that means to you is that written in their law, if you, Mr. or Miss Investor, chooses to help property owner
Mhm.
by paying their real estate taxes for them, there is a statutory interest rate, fixed interest rate that is going to be assessed to that amount of dollars that you pay that one individual's real estate taxes for. And
Mm.
that lien now becomes a primary lien against that person's property. That lien is a primary above their mortgages. And primary is like a priority lien, right?
Mhm.
So there's nothing that that property owner can do, like even if they try to refinance or they try to sell that property, they must pay you back. And in the event that they don't pay you back, now you have an opportunity to enforce a collection action all the way up to enforcing a sale, a foreclosure, tax foreclosure sale on that property. In the event that the state offers tax deeds, then what that means to you is that when you are communicating with your local tax collector, real estate tax collector, what they're saying is if a property owner is delinquent for a specific amount of time, if they do not pay their real estate taxes in that specific amount of time, you literally can buy their property for the delinquent taxes, which is different between a tax lien
Wow.
and deed, because a tax lien, you're getting a rate of return and interest, and that's cool because it's
Yeah.
double digits, right? Double digit returns. It's very high returns compared to like what you would have in your traditional savings account, money markets, IRAs, and things like that. As a matter of fact, there's so many people that love to invest in tax liens in their like self-directed IRA or in any of their retirement accounts because there's double-digit returns on those. And for those of us that are interested in buying properties, then I would recommend that you look for the states that offer tax deeds. And the states that offer tax deed opportunities is like 31 states out of the 50 will sell properties for their delinquent taxes. And then about 24 out of the 50 states will offer tax lien opportunities.
Do they have people that are living in these homes that have tax liens?
Sometimes they do, but more oftentimes they're actually vacant. So people will say, well, how in the world does a property become delinquent to all the way to the fact that now the county is going to sell the property to collect the delinquent taxes? Well, what really happens, and I know, Nathan, as a expert like you are, sometimes you find that homeowners pass away, their heirs don't take care of the property, or, sometimes people fall into hardships, financial hardships, things like that, and then they're not paying their real estate taxes, and it just kind of like snowballs and builds up to a point where they don't have the total sum. Well, all of
Right.
those those monies are not deferrable. It still has to be paid. As a matter of fact, we're coming out of the pandemic, right? For the last 3 years, we're in the pandemic. And then property owners had the opportunity to take advantage of enrolling into like a mortgage forbearance program, right? Where basically they're like pushing their payments down the road and they get to pay them at a later date. Well, most people have their mortgage, their insurance, and like their taxes, so the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance all wrapped up into that single payment. So if you're not paying that payment, if a property owner is not paying that payment, that means that more than likely they weren't paying their taxes either for their properties, right?
Right.
So although they were eligible for the forbearance, their real estate taxes and insurance still had to be paid. And a lot of property owners are facing that right now. So this is not like ugly properties or torn down properties. This is literally like pretty properties, right? So any
Right.
property can be subject to this situation.
So my question would be, why are like hedge funds or big companies with deep pockets like buying these up? I don't understand why they wouldn't. It sounds like you get them at good deals.
Yeah, I would. I mean, at the end of the day, there's always going to be somebody that has more money than you. It don't even have to be a hedge fund, right?
Right. Yeah.
At any other time, there's going to be somebody that is willing to, spend more than you, invest more than you, all of that cool stuff. I get it, right? But that's not the perspective that you should be looking at this opportunity from. Like I said, there's 3,141 counties and county equivalents, and these auctions are happening like every day
Wow.
throughout the year, right? So some auctions are going to be annually, others are monthly, others are weekly, every 2 weeks, and so on like that. So the frequency is there. Plus, there's also a post auction, meaning like after the auction. So there's properties that are remaining after that do not get purchased. So that's another opportunity right there as well. So there's many different methods to take advantage of. And everyone, whether you're a hedge fund or institutional investor or mom and pop investor, you can't be everywhere all the time.
That's
So
true.
there's still a lot of opportunity out there that's literally left. As a matter of fact, I wanted to share something too.
Go ahead.
Many of these properties, Nathan, ended up going back to the county. And there's a process called escheat. There's a legal term called escheat. And as it sounds, it means to cheat to
Wow.
cheat the property owner out of their property, right? So
Wow.
if property is not purchased and it is delinquent long enough, then the property eventually becomes escheated, which means that it's taken over by the state, and the state then retitles that property from the previous owner to themselves.
And what do they do with it?
They just keep it. Sometimes it ends up like on a land bank, which is a different type of process.
They
But
won't relist it?
no, they don't realistic because guess what? Our government are not investors. Hint, hint.
Yeah, of
Right?
course.
Just like banks are not, property managers, they're in the business of collecting interest, right? Banks are in the business of collecting interest.
Mhm.
Governments are in the business of enforcing policy and enforcing laws. So, they're in uncharted territory when it comes on to real estate. That's why they have this process in place to invite the public. And that's a really good word to use. They're inviting the public to participate in tax liens and tax deeds auctions because at the end of the day, all they really want is the sum of the delinquent taxes to be paid so that they can take those funds and then reinvest it back into the community as far as the fiscal budget is concerned. They really don't have much desire to maintain property because it costs them that to do that. That's
Yeah.
why investors are such a vital contribution to communities, regardless of what anybody says. We do a really great job of supporting communities by buying properties, rehabbing them. We create jobs. We create all of this value in the economy that most people don't realize what we do.
Wow. So interesting. I think this is a great strategy. So what can my viewers or anyone that's listening to this, the Payneless Wholesaling Podcast, what can they do to learn more?
Absolutely. So again, identify the state, and then of course there's like multiple counties within your state, right? So
Uh-huh.
identify the state. I would probably say pick about 6 to 7 different counties within your state because many states have 50, 60, 70, 100 counties, right? You can't be everywhere all the time. So
Right.
pick the counties that are most important to you. And it doesn't have to even be in your backyard either, right? Most of my students, they invest virtually. So it's not even something that you have to do that's close to you, because a lot of the auctions are online. You just have to know where you're looking and what you're looking for and be able to do that successfully. So once you identify the 6 to 7 counties that you're interested, just like you have a buying criteria, right? Because
Hmm.
everything looks pretty when it's shiny.
Right. Right.
So if you're only interested in single family homes, then okay, then stick to that plan. If you're interested in commercial properties, then stick to that. If you're interested in industrial properties or whatever, farmland, then have a specified buying criteria and a budget, right? And then once a property that meets your criteria comes up on the auction, then of course you're gonna register, you're gonna do your due diligence, and then you're going to participate. You're gonna actually bid, right? Once
Yeah.
you complete bidding and you are the successful bidder, right? Because that's what it takes. When you become the successful bidder, the after auction property, once you win, then you're going to have to clear the title for that property, right? And there's all these misconceptions about clearing title and what that means and so on like that.
Mhm.
It is a process in place to do so, but it's not complicated, all right? So
Sure.
don't get overwhelmed about that. There's only 4 different ways that you can clear a title. So number one is going to be a quiet title action, which you need a real estate attorney to do, contingent upon the state, and it's anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000, right, to get that done. The second option is a title certification, and title certification can be done by a lot of different companies. One of my favorites is Tax Title Services. So just a plug for them. I'm not an affiliate with them or anything, but that's a company that I use personally to get a title certification. And they'll marry your certification with like an investor friendly title company that's going to
Hmm.
accept that title certification so that you can get clear and marketable title and get your title insurance for your property. And then
Mhm.
third way would be, which a lot of people, I don't see them like taking advantage of a lot of times, is to communicate with the property owner before the property goes to the auction. How cool is that? Why
Yeah.
just go and talk to them, as a for sale by owner, make your offer that way. Their property is already scheduled to go to auction. So there is a sense of urgency because the time is ticking. If they don't pay their real estate taxes, then they run the risk of losing their property and not getting anything at all, right? So
Mhm.
when you buy the property directly from the owner prior to the auction, you can always get a warranty deed, and that also secures your ability to be able to get title insurance, and it doesn't break the chain of title. And the last one, which is the fourth different way, Nathan, is
Mhm.
to do nothing. So a lot of people are like, well, what do you mean, Jack? What do you mean do nothing? Well, time heals all wounds, as they say, right?
Right.
Time heals everything. So when you own a tax deed property, there is, depending on the state, after a certain amount of years, if your deed is not contested and nobody's come and claimed any ownership rights to your deed or challenged the county and how they sold the property to you, then eventually you're going to be able to get clear and marketable title from a title company. So for example, in the state of Florida, which is where I live, it's 4 years. So if I own a tax deed property for 4 years, I didn't do a quiet title, I didn't do a title certification, I got the deed directly from the county, I didn't get it from the owner or anything prior to the sale. If I just wait 4 years, eventually, I could refinance, I could do whatever I got to do with my investor friendly title company, and I'll be able to get title insurance.
Wow, you said a lot there. That was a lot. That was a lot. Hey,
I
so
told you I'll be reading, I'll be studying. I've been doing this for a long time, Nathan.
hey, for everybody that just heard all that, look, you just need to go and hit her up because I'm like, wow, that's a lot for me. So hit her up, go to the JackieJohnson.com. I'm sure everything you just said, I'm sure you make it, you teach it, obviously.
I do. I teach it, and I teach it in a lot of detail, and I make it really, really simple too.
Mhm.
So I did a condensed version, so I said a lot in a really short period of time.
Yeah,
But
a
in a
lot.
Tax Deed Genius course, it breaks it down even simpler,
I love
step
it.
by step, and each lesson builds upon the previous lesson, so you have a complete process, right? From
Yeah, yeah. You got a good foundation.
Yeah, where everything connects with each other.
Well, look, I think it's a great strategy. I haven't had many people on here that do that, so that's amazing. So everybody that's listening that wants to get deals consistently and was looking for a great strategy, go to thejackyjackson.com. And how else can they reach out to you if they want to hit you up on, or should they just go to thejackyjackson.com?
Oh, well, I mean, you can anyone can communicate with me on my website at
Okay.
info@Jackson. We have our student support team, our customer service there. And
Uh-huh.
then you can always follow me on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. You can actually join our public Facebook group at The Jackie Jackson and Tax Deed Genius. So all of my social media
Hmm.
are the same. It's
Okay.
Jackie Jackson because I am the only one
That's right. That's right.
online that announces themselves on the internet before you even speak to me. So I am the only one.
Well, I love it. Everyone here, you heard it here first. And so come out, go check her out if you want to get into tax deeds. I recommend it. And Jackie, thank you so much for coming. We'll catch you on the next one. All right.
Outstanding. Thanks, Nathan, for having me.
Of course. Of course.